It exists for this V8 engine. This is being replaced by that. Well aware of the impending death of the internal combustion engine, Ford has come up with a solution, and it's shaped like an SUV. You're not going to want to hear this, and trust me, I don't want to have to say it, but I do. The reality is the internal combustion engine is being outlawed. And along with it dies the sports car as we know it. Why? Well, without the theater and the drama of a screaming engine, the idea of a sports car just doesn't sell. You want proof? Well, how many of these flaming hot things has Rimac sold? Like one? And yet, the entire world is touching themselves inappropriately over the 12,000 RPM manual transmission T50, which doesn't even exist yet, thank you. And that's because of experience. Without experience, your sports car is just a car. And if it's just a car, then it needs to be practical, which is why Ford had no choice but to make its first ever from the ground up EV an SUV. Ford's Edge is roughly the same size and shape as the Mach-E, and yet it doesn't handle anything like this and does not have this beautifully communicative steering. Doesn't need to. Look, when you remove the engine from the equation, the next most important thing for fun is handling. It has really good chassis balance. It's neutral all the time, and every time you go for the gas, it sends all of the power to the back first, getting you sideways, and then right afterwards it engages the front motor, which then pulls you straight. And of course the stability control kills the whole thing. Because you can't turn off the stability control, this Mach-E won't do lurid slides or illicit burnouts, but it will let you have a good bit of fun. So I'm gonna go for the gas, ready, and here we go, throws itself sideways, yeah! This is a real Mustang in that sort of way. Look, sideways is the Mustang way. And I'm sure if you were leaving the Cars and Coffee and saw a bunch of pedestrians, well, it would get them.
Please try again.
Don't mind if I do. Hold on, lady. You asked for it. Pedestrians everywhere. Get them. Obviously, I'm being ridiculous. Even I know this is irrelevant, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The Mach-E's chassis balance is perfect. Unlike any other SUVs, electric or not. By putting the Mustang name on it, Ford knew we were going to hold the Mach-E to a higher handling standard. And let's be honest for a second, this is the type of driving it needs to do well. It's a crossover. It needs to provide general transportation, and the Mach-E transportates well. It has a cabin with seats in it. It has 4 wheels, a hatchback, a frunk, and it moves under its own power, quickly. But isn't there more to life than this? We all have transportation needs, but the whole point of a car like this is it meets most of your transportation needs, no Home Depot run, but it turns your commute into an event. could be driving to work in a responsible, quiet jelly bean. Or I could drive this, a big, huge green middle finger to everyone else. Look, life is too short to be PC. I'm gonna make it to work, but I'm gonna do burnouts the whole way there. This is a vulgar, socially unacceptable flash of color in a gray SUV world. And Mustang has always been this way, no matter what was actually underneath the badge. Remember that until this S550 generation of Mustang, i.e. for the first 50 years, the Mustang was effectively a tarted up economy car with a body sexy enough to brighten your day. Mustang really just stands for something with a ton of sex appeal. Dirty, trashy sex appeal. So, Ford needed to graft the Mustang's sexy styling language onto an SUV, and that's not an easy thing to do. The simple stuff means things like 3-segment taillights with sequential blinkers, not having a Ford badge anywhere on the thing, and the double brow dashboard. The Mach-E takes that traditional Mustang design cue and modernizes it with great colors and textures, including the cloth on the dash that looks like a big soundbar. It's actually not. But obviously what dominates this whole interior is the big touchscreen, which is clear and fraught with errors. This is a pre-production car, hopefully they fix all that stuff. But it does have a rotary volume control, which is the coolest thing in the world. Look, overall though, this interior is very well designed, very well put together, and comfortable. This is a really nice place to spend some time. The hard part is keeping the utility in a sport utility vehicle when it has to have that coupe roofline. And that was a challenge accepted by Ford's global director of battery electric vehicles, Hey Siri, called Jason Castriota. Jason was the chief designer on this car. JC!
Hey, Jason.
Congratulations on the Mach-E. Looks great.
I think that the car on the road holds its own.
But I gotta ask you a question. Like, I wanna be a fly on the wall in whatever boardroom someone was like, hey, I need you to design an SUV, but like, I wanna put like a Mustang badge on it. Did you like go apoplectic? Did someone die?
Actually, I was part of the small heretic team that said, we need to make a Mustang SUV that's also battery electric.
Always making your life easy on yourself, aren't you? Mm-hmm.
Step one is it's got to look the part, right? So, you know, from a design and architecture standpoint, if we didn't have the proportions, we would have never gotten there. First and foremost is about capturing that silhouette. And to capture that silhouette, that means you need that long hood, that swept back windscreen, and that very fast roofline. So with that, we extended the wheelbase of the vehicle to shorten the overhangs, get that dash to axle.
Dash to axle, yeah.
We swept the windscreen rearward. And the most important part of the design is really how we hide the height of the vehicle with the body-colored rail that mimics the Mustang coupe, accelerating really fast over the passengers, and then using the upper rail and the roof section in gloss black and glass to actually hide the true height of the vehicle.
I love how all of you designers think if you put something in black, no one's ever gonna notice, right? I mean, that's why I'm wearing a black shirt, as if no one's gonna notice that I gained like 75 pounds during COVID.
We are absolutely pulling the wool over your eyes. It's all about the visual tricks that we have in our designer toolkit to use to make this vehicle look more compact than it is, more muscular than it is, sleeker than it is.
All right, I got another question. I mean, what's with the doors? The door opening is like 6 inches further down than the door itself. What are you trying to hide?
I know Adam Sandler's made a lot of money and he's probably pretty bored, but how'd you get him to be your stunt double in that J-Term video?
With all of Jason's design tricks covered up neatly with tape, this is what the Mach-E actually looks like. Way more meaty and quite good looking in an Alfa Romeo Stelvio kind of way, but far less like a Mustang coupe. But the important thing is, Ford is zigging while all of the other car makers are zagging. They're all protecting their traditional products at all costs, inventing entirely new lineups like VW with the ID3 to protect the Golf, or entirely new brands like Polestar to protect all of Volvo. But Ford's got it right. Innovation doesn't happen unless you're willing to sacrifice your current products. Maybe Ford has learned something from Silicon Valley.
Steve Jobs once famously said, if you don't cannibalize yourself, someone else will cannibalize you. And I think what he actually meant is, if I don't race that Tesla, someone else will. So the Tesla's like a second quicker through the quarter mile, but these are both really quick cars, like genuinely quick cars. Out, let's go. Thank you. This dopey looking SUV would leave a Lamborghini Diablo for dead, and it's the slow Tesla. Doesn't have any of that Italian V12 drama, so Tesla had to resort to things like turning the turn signals into farts. The future's looking very juvenile, kids. But the future is also looking very stark and minimalist, and while I would love to make fun of this featureless dashboard, the touchscreen works so well I have nothing to say. I mean, there is no other car company that even comes close to this level of functionality. I will say that in the handling department, this does not do what the Mach-E does. At the limit, it just wants you to stop. But I don't think that really matters. Look, the Model Y is not going to be held to some elevated standard because its name was used on a sports car for the last 55 years. No. If anything, the name Tesla just stands for efficiency, and nobody does efficiency like Tesla. To wit, this is about the same size on the outside as the Mach-E is, and yet it's way bigger on the inside, 4.7 times larger, in fact. And it weighs 500 actual pounds less. And it has 25% less aerodynamic drag, all of which means that the Mach-E needs a bigger battery to go slower and less far. Both of these cars have enough range to work as your daily driver, but on a road trip into the middle of nowhere, the Tesla works and the Ford doesn't. And that's half the fault of the car and half the fault of the charging network. Tesla owns everything from start to finish. So you show up in a Tesla supercharger station with your Tesla and you plug it in and it just works every time. In the Ford, like every other EV, you're fully dependent on an independent network of charging companies, and they all suck. EVgo, ChargePoint, and don't get me started on Electrify America, which literally has never worked, no matter what I've plugged into it.
And then there's the car itself. The Mach-E won't allow its battery to fast charge past 80%, decimating road trip range. So even if Ford had a supercharging network like Tesla's, the Model Y would still be the better road trip vehicle. It may be ugly, but I've gotta say, Tesla is the far better transportation device in almost every logical way.
But no one ever buys a car because of logic. Nope. People buy cars for emotion, and nothing says emotion like a drag race. Here it comes. This is gonna be one of those overly dramatic drag race sequences. Okay, aspect ratio change, we are done. Vignette effect. Yep, there it is. Unnecessary revs. Unnecessary burnout. Opponent side-eye. I have my own version of that. Sunglasses flip. I think we're done. All right, countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Go.
gas-powered Mustang is a second quicker to 60, and quicker still by the end of a quarter mile. But even the Mach-E is going over 100 by then. It's not slow. And this is all presuming the GT gets a perfect textbook launch. I'm not sure this is all that relevant back on planet Earth.
This is how it happens in the real world. That thing's not even going to be in gear yet by the time... Hi! And this is the way of the future, silent speed. And as for the Mach-E, this is just the beginning. Ford has already announced the GT and GT Performance editions. Steve Jobs once famously quoted, of all people, Henry Ford, who said that if he'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. What they really wanted was a car. They just didn't know it yet. And what people really want now for general transportation is an electric car. They just don't know it yet. But once you've lived with an EV, you just can't go back. Will this electric SUV replace the Mustang we know and love and puts a smile on our face? No, but it pains me to say this. The Mustang's days are numbered because its underhood horses have a date with the glue factory.
We are heading towards an all-electric future because we have to. And while that's really gonna suck in some ways, Ford's at least letting us have a little fun. It's not a screaming great sports car, but it's also not a great blob of an SUV either. Oh, and something else. By putting that Mustang badge on the Mach-E, Ford got you to watch a whole video on a midsize SUV you would have otherwise never even cared about. Sucker.
All right, so you're going to keep the Ferrari framed out the entire time, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Action.
I'm not some rich YouTuber asking you to like and subscribe. Hey, up, keep the Ferrari out. I'm an automotive journalist asking you to like and subscribe, and that's because that's how YouTube works. If you don't click those buttons, YouTube doesn't know that you like what you're seeing and won't show you any more of it. If you don't like what you're seeing, well, join the club. And by that, I mean the Hagerty Drivers Club, which gets you access to this award-winning magazine, as well as discounts on some pretty amazing stuff. And if you still don't like what you've seen, well, then leave a nasty comment, because that's how the internet works. I gotta clean that up.